We're doing it. This is the show.
Okay.
Sit back, relax. Here it comes in 3, 2, 1.
What time is it?
There is no time in space. This is to say, there is no chronology that can be calibrated.
I said, what time is it? What time is it on Earth? Can you tell me that without an exercise in Euclidean geometry? Just tell me what time it is on Earth.
On Earth, it would be 12 noon.
Just remember, you have to know when to hold them and know when to fold them.
The Morning Stream.
Your painting privileges have been removed.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to TMS. I just noticed the chat room. So Twitch changed something.
Something I keep seeing mention of a shield or something in.
Yeah, something got weird because I guess they're trying to fight hate raids. They call them hate raids. And so, as Brian and I do the show, maybe some things will be weird. And I know Jeannie's trying to stay on top of it and has put settings where they need to be, or whatever. But I don't know what that even means. I understand, I guess, probably the concept of a hate raid, but I didn't know that was a thing.
But what do people do? Like, just raid a channel that they hate and fill it with people who watch the stream? I don't understand what a hate raid does.
I assume what a hate, it's like a roving band of like, we don't like this person, so we're going to go in there and just spam up their channel.
Spam their chat and okay. All right. Sure.
Put ASCII penises in there and stuff like that.
Little do they know we provide our own.
Yeah.
We've already made our own gravy. We don't need.
Yeah, we got and our potatoes are happy to be soaking in it. So just
right, exactly.
Back off. Anyway, I've never been hate rated, so I don't really understand it. But I assume it's for bigger streamers and stuff.
Just sit there and drink your Haterade.
Yeah, hate your Haterade. It's refreshing and replenishes my electrolytes.
That's right.
It's nice to see you all. We're going to do a show here for Thursday, December 1st, 2022, and it's the first of the month, so happy December. It's okay to play Christmas music and stuff now, right? You're down with that.
I've actually been playing it a lot. The perfect moment is now, as my Splenda packet
look
tells
at that.
us.
Yeah, the Splenda right there. That's very splendid.
Right. It's like part Magic 8-Ball, part fortune cookie, basically, is what it is. It's like,
was it Splenda that killed what's her name on Breaking Bad?
No, that was
I always forget.
Well, technically it was ricin, but it was Stevia.
Stevia.
Yeah, that killed.
But it was a brand. They did call it a brand name. They called it the brand name Stevia. Okay,
they did. Yeah.
I always thought that was a little scary, like a little edgy to like call out a brand name like that. And
right, especially to make it like. We saw what happened with Peloton when it killed Mr. Big in Sex and the City.
That's
movie
right.
3 or whatever it was called, or
That's
just
right.
like that.
Maybe they. So I've always wondered about product placement when a negative connotation is with your product. So let's say, I know Apple's not down with the idea that if you use a MacBook in some TV show, the MacBook itself can't be the reason for a problem. Like if it explodes or battery or something.
Somebody can't lop off somebody's head with the sharp edge of a MacBook Air.
No,
is what you're saying?
No, although that sounds great, but no, they can't do it.
It sounds both great and doable.
Yeah, because those things are really razor sharp. But like in the case of the Stevia, the story is very clear that hey, he put ricin in the Stevia,
right?
And so you're probably still okay having your name associated with this because you're not the problem. Someone made it a problem. And so when cars explode or when you get you got a bunch of Fords because you got a Ford deal for your movie and a bunch of Fords get wrecked, Ford's okay with that because it isn't the cars that are wrecking themselves. People are wrecking them. I don't know. Who may know this is our pal
this
and
is Bobby.
Oh yeah, he might too. But
Bobby, but also Dr. Tolbert and
no, not Tolbert.
Dan? I don't know.
How would they know? Would they know about car wrecks and stuff?
Oh, I'm sorry, not car wrecks, but just like Stevie, I see what you're saying.
Oh, I think you were.
I see what you're saying about like using in movies. And
yeah,
stuff.
Like props in movies and like even the MacBook thing. I'm thinking of.
I got steered out because somebody said Stevie is the name of the leaf, not the product name, so it's okay to use in movies. So I was really quickly looking that up to stave off some emails from people.
I didn't know that. I thought Stevia was the brand name.
You know what? Look. I'll tell you this: Dr. Tolbert's probably been in a car wreck, and Dan Patrice has probably been in a car wreck, and Bobby's probably been in a car wreck.
Might have, yeah. I'm thinking of
totally paying attention, Scott. 100% paying attention.
I'm thinking of our pal in Atlanta. I can't think of his name all of a sudden.
Yes, Don Vickers.
Don Vickers. Gosh dang it!
Because he is in the movie industry as a location scout or a head location scout, and.
He also married a eternal elf lady who is the most beautiful human being ever made, and somehow Dodd Vickers married her. I don't know how that worked out, but
that probably reminds him that it's time to re-up the restraining order.
Yeah, get that going. But anyway, I just find that stuff curious. I think it's weird. Now, here's what's weird.
No, I think that. Yeah. And I think Dice Tomato even in the chat said that Apple, like villains, can't use Apple products in movies. So
I didn't know that.
Dennis Hopper in Speed can't be hey hotshot, I got a pop quiz for you, let me pull it up on my iPhone.
Interesting. Yeah. So even if I watch like I've noticed all the Apple Plus TV Plus originals, they all, if there's computers,
everybody on
they're
the
all
morning
Macs.
show uses
they're all Macs, they're all iPhones,
an Apple Watch, and
nobody's got an Android phone or any of that.
Right, all the other products.
I wonder if I'm trying to think if anyone could be considered villainous in any of those.
I mean, Steve Carell.
Is he villainous? I never saw
his
the
character
show.
Was kind of villainous in the morning show as a sexual predator.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know any of this. I didn't know this. I haven't seen it.
Did you not watch the morning show?
No.
Oh.
I was all mad about the TMS part, so it annoyed me.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, he basically gets caught some sexual harassment and stuff, and then when they come to him about it, he goes, well, that's what she said.
Well, I mean, when you're around Steve Carell, you can't help it. It's just part.
It's
just part of the deal.
I'll be here all week. Tip your weight
really
staff.
Good. That was really good. You'll be here all week, and don't forget. I was gonna make a bad joke. Not gonna do it. I am going to tell you a story, though. I had a dream last night that I would like to share and shed from my life forever and never think about it again.
Okay, all right.
Last night, for whatever reason, vividest dream ever. Remember every detail of this thing. The never-ending story dog. I don't even know its name. You know, the big furry flying dog.
I'm gonna be the last person to ask this question to because I've never seen the never-ending story.
Oh, Film Sack says what?
I know, right? Film Sack, never covered on Film Sack. I don't think we have the time for a never-ending story on Film Sack. Listen, Randy's already complained about how much time it takes to do watch-alongs. We're never going to do the never-ending story because it'll never end.
It never ends. Yeah, it just goes and goes. Yeah. Somehow there's a sequel, and it's garbage. But all right, so it's Falcor, says the chat. I don't remember the name of the thing.
Falcor.
Anyway, this dog is in my dream, whatever it is, dragon dog.
Sure.
And went crazy and started killing everybody. Just killing everyone, just slaughtering, had no regard for anything. Women, children, old people, everything in between, just wrecking every soul it could find. And it was scary, and all I could do was run and keep running and stay away from it. That's the dream. And it didn't feel like a nightmare as much as it just did kind of a weird action movie. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't like scared. That's hard to explain. But when I woke up, it was as real as anything I've dreamt. I woke up and I was like, yeah, I'm in this world. This is happening. And then slowly about a minute later, I'm like, oh, okay. That was a dream. That was really weird.
There's precedence now, right? That, that we could see stuff like this happen because Bambi, they're making a Bambi as a killer movie.
Oh, I didn't know this. Is this true?
Now that Bambi's in the public domain, somebody is making a horror movie starring Bambi.
I didn't know this. That sounds great. Is that true?
Yeah.
I want to see this.
It's totally true. Yeah, 100% true.
Oh, Bambi. What do they call? Is their name yet or anything?
No. Oh, Winnie the Pooh's getting it first. Did Winnie the Pooh enter?
I mean, Winnie the
Pooh might be.
Winnie the Pooh doesn't. I think Disney doesn't even own. Never own it,
no,
right?
But somebody owns it. I mean, somebody should have owned it. I think Disney does own it because they have Winnie the Pooh rides and stuff there.
You'd think they would, but they also take stuff like, I'm trying to think of a good one here. Sleeping Beauty isn't there. There's a ton of stuff that's just not there, like
right.
Tarzan.
That's just right because it's generic fairy tale.
Yeah, so they just use it, I don't know how that
Winnie
works.
the Pooh Blood and Honey comes out February 15th, 2023.
Oh my lord.
And
is it animated?
I'm reading this. I think this is going to be Pooh and Piglet go on a murderous rampage for human flesh as they antagonize a group of university girls occupying a rural cabin.
Oh my gosh, dude.
I can't tell if it's this is live action. I'm looking at the list. It's totally gonna be live action.
Listen to this old lady. This old lady's comment on the page here. Yeah. Hollywood has gone completely mad. They can't think of anything original, so they have to turn poor Bambi into a killer. I can't believe any foolish person would waste their money on this garbage.
I would argue that turning Bambi into a killer is very original.
Yeah, it's pretty original. Pretty original. I don't have a problem with this. Fine, let's do whatever. I can't believe it's in the public domain. See, that tells me it's not a Disney-owned thing then.
Right.
There must have been some, like Beauty and not Beauty and the Beast. Well, sort of like Beauty and the Beast, but like any of the stories that they convert, they're taking from some other common story. They usually have their own twist on it. Like Hunchback of Notre Dame is nothing like the real thing.
No, the Victor Hugo novel.
Yeah, right? I mean, it's got a hunchback. That's about it.
Obviously, Hercules came from something from Greek mythology long before Disney got their hands on it.
Yeah, they do
Tarzan,
they do give you the feeling that they invented it, but they don't. They never do.
Right. They invented their take on it for sure. And,
sure.
And
and sometimes that overwhelms. It's like those covers you talk about. The covers that are bigger than the originals,
iconic,
or whatever.
that you don't think about there being a thing before that, like Sleeping Beauty or Cinderella or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, that's such a total Disney thing, but no, it was a fairy tale or a story before that.
Like even Little Mermaid is like some Danish thing.
Some Danish thing, yeah. I think they even have a little statue that keeps getting vandalized overlooking the fjords.
Yeah, the fjords. Well, we'll keep our eye on it.
Does Denmark have fjords, or is it just...
I actually don't know. I have no idea what they have over there. They have a lot of free weed, I think. I don't know much else about them.
How many... somebody please keep track of how many wrong things we've said so far on today's show. I know the Stevia thing not being a brand name, I guess, is it, but did she have Truvia then?
Truvia?
What did Lydia drink?
Stevia?
In her chamomile. It was chamomile tea, wasn't it?
It was chamomile tea, and it was stevia.
I thought it was stevia, yeah.
Stevia. That's my memory. But and I've seen that series twice through.
Chamomile tea with soy milk and a ton of stevia.
Okay.
So there you go.
Because she was hooked. She loved the stevia. She's all into it.
So that's probably why, all right, it's a leaf as opposed to a brand name, so they can probably get away with that as opposed to saying she had Truvia in it, or Sweet and Low, or Nutra, or well, not NutraSweet, but Equal.
Right. Yeah. I'm just surprised they didn't make one up, to be honest.
Yeah.
It seems like a thing you could do, or you'd want to do, given the poisoning part of it and all that. Dr. Tolbert in the chat says the counter is at 12 things we've gotten wrong today. So
thank you very much.
Fantastic.
I've always thought we could end our show with an I'm sorry segment where we kind of list all the things that we got wrong, kind of like that SNL joke with Fox News where they list all the things that they got wrong.
Yeah. We just need someone to do it for us. We can't keep track of it.
Provide the list that we could just read through.
Yeah, we ain't got no time for that.
No.
Anyway, so I don't know why the dog and the never-ending story dog was in my dream. I don't know why all these people had to die for it. It's a bad time, and
I'm just glad I wasn't in that one.
Yeah, you were not in this one at all. You weren't even mentioned, and nobody was that I knew personally. It was me, and then the world, and by the world I mean just random people I've never met. My kids, my wife, none of my family, none of my friends were in it. So I guess that's good, but it's very weird. Chat says, I think these area COVID leftovers fever dreams.
Easily could be, right?
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, I'm still, the cough won't go away. I freaking hate it. I'm feeling a little less tired all the time. Although at night, man, I am beat like nothing else. Holy crap. Yeah. Last night I could barely move. I was supposed to do some early prep for the show for today, so I wouldn't have to get up too early to worry about it.
Right.
And I just couldn't do it. I was just like, no.
Good for you. You know what? Your body is telling you what you need to do, and you just need to sit back and listen. I get the best night of sleep I've gotten in a couple of weeks, and it might be because dude from the dealership service thing did finally call me back.
Oh, update. Ding, ding, ding. Let's hear about it. What happened?
Update with air quotes.
Oh, crap.
He says, I just want to let you know we're still waiting for the parts, and but Kia Corporate has asked me to resubmit the work order, so I'm going to put that together now. I'm like, oh, is that good news? He says, oh, it could be.
Yeah.
So I'll keep you posted.
Okay,
so really, it's kind of it's an update. It's what I asked for, right? It's communication that just says, hey, wheels are still turning. We're waiting for the part. I'm resubmitting your stuff, blah, 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 blah. And that's all I asked for.
That is something.
That there, if you did that from the start, 5 stars on Yelp, Google.
Yeah, you would already you'd have had Brian's devotion. He'd already been buying 3 new Kias by now. Okay.
Right. Exactly. Red Fraggle says, "Did you ask for a loaner?" I thought of that right after I hung up with the call. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't want to call him back and ask for a loaner. Then I thought, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Without a car, I've been eating a lot more salad, like making lunch here, having more salad. I've lost 3.5 pounds. I've been walking when I need to go somewhere and get something, just going to like the Ace Hardware up the way or the grocery store and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've been getting a lot done here in the office, not just some freelance stuff that needs to get done, but also like fixing up some stuff in the room I do all the 3D printing in, so that I can actually be more efficient with the stuff that has to go out via Etsy.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm all right now without a car. I know I don't necessarily, like, if they called and said, hey, we're going to give you a loaner, I'd say, all right, cool. Lift me over there so I can pick up the loaner. But I'm not complaining about not having a car right now.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I was so worried when I sold my car to one of the kids, and it's just the one car Kim and I use. I was so worried it was going to just kink me, but it really hasn't. It's been fine. Like when I need it, it's around, and if she's got it and she's somewhere, it's like, I can walk, I can do whatever. Like,
see,
it's
it
not
helps
that big a deal.
Because Kim doesn't have a job that makes her have to drive around all the time.
No.
Tina does, with her adults protective services thing. She's out all the time. So if I kind of in a pinch say, oh God, I need a car, I need to be able to get to place
that's
X,
harder.
Nothing I can do. But
what if he called you and said, hey, Mr. Ibbett, we've got a loaner for you, and you come up there and you walk in the door and they just give you a kind of a quiet, keeps to himself guy with a hat on. Would you take that loaner?
This is my loaner, and say, yep, okay, well, I'll take him home.
Yeah, and they would do it with a straight face. Part of the joke would be they wouldn't laugh or crack a smile. They would just do this as if this was normal. They would just pass this guy over to you, and you'd have to spend, the rest of the afternoon with this part. And he would keep to himself. He's not like he's gonna be a problem at your house.
Sure, no, I mean, I don't even have to entertain him or anything.
No, give him a bowl of Fritos.
I really just have to bring him home and just kind of let him do his own thing, which would probably just be kind of sitting in a corner.
Yeah, because that's what loners do. It's been my experience. Oh, loaner!
Here's my Steam Deck. Entertain yourself. Here's my Steam Deck.
Different loaner. Okay.
And Barb, her, I think it was her maiden name or married name. I think maiden name was. Oh, it is. It's absolutely loaner. Yeah, her maiden name is Loner.
Barbara Loner. That's cool.
Barbara Loner. Yeah.
All right.
Barb Loner.
Nick's dating a girl whose last name is Bonner. So that's problematic.
Oh, 2 N's?
Yeah. It's still hard, though. It's hard to... I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that.
Right, we're done. We're not topping... We're not topping that. It's like there's no better...
It's not quite what I meant. Damn it. As soon as I said it, I was like, shoot, look what hath come out of my mouth. All right. Well, let's pepper that comment with this. This is a text we got from a listener named Kendall, who simply says, "Hello, skirt and bow tie." I like that. It's good.
Yeah, skirt and bow tie.
Although I don't know, I wouldn't wear a skirt. But...
I'm much happier being the bow tie.
Yeah, I agree. Says, "You guys know you're huge nerds, right?" Kendall.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the whole thing.
Oh yeah,
Feels like a weird thing to take time out of your day and text people, but yeah, I don't have any shame about my nerd level.
I mean, it
it
was right there in the phone book. That phone book that somebody listens to the show.
Yeah.
Worked on the Denver phone book or the Arvada phone book, and put me on a page that began with "huge nerd." Like, I took a photo of it.
That's amazing. Is it a listener of something, you said?
It was a listener, right? So, like, basically, you know how at the top it says the range of things on that page.
Yeah.
It was from huge nerd to something else, and Brian Ibbett was on that.
That's
on that page.
That's great. That's freaking great. What's a phone
I
book?
took a photo of it. I can't find it. I can't pull it up quickly, but
we are.
I know, yeah, with the phone book.
Yeah, there is a dying out bunch of humans that remember phone books barely.
Yeah.
There's the generation, the Z's, man. They're not going to know what the frick we're talking about.
Phone book? What is that?
A whole book of phone numbers? Is that even a thing?
What do you? Is there a button on the front that you can push to ask it a question and have it find a phone?
Is it like Facebook but with phones? All right. Well, there you go then. We are nerds.
If we don't have phone books, what are we going to put on top of things that need to be compressed that you've just glued to stay together?
Encyclopedias, but then you'd say, well, wait, what's an encyclopedia? We have the same problem. So
yeah,
I don't know.
We're getting rid of all of our heavy things, and we we need to keep some heavy things.
World of Warcraft Collector's Edition boxes, with all their stuff in them. Those are heavy.
Those are heavy. Do you have one of those, Scott?
I have one for every expansion except this new one. The new one I don't have. I didn't get that. I'm not playing it either. I'm kind of not. I'm just not feeling motivated. Came out on Tuesday.
Oh yeah, Dragonflight now.
Yeah.
I've been hearing good things.
Yeah, me too.
The biggest review that I've heard is people like Dragonflight because it's not the last expansion.
Because it's not Shadowlands.
The previous Shadowlands.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's funny because that seems to be the constant. Everybody's saying that's the number one thing they're saying. Oh, I like it so much better than the last one. And it's like, well, how do you like it on its own? Well, I don't know. I'm just comparing it to what I just did with the Shadowlands. I don't know. Maybe it's amazing, and maybe I'll get time. I'm not feeling motivated at the moment because usually look, there's never been a problem with any of these expansions' first few weeks of content. Like the leveling stuff's always top notch. It's always amazing stuff. Great story, great cutscenes.
Right. It's just what happens after you've maxed your level, and then you have to kind of do your progression for the raids and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it may be incredible this time. I don't know. Last time it felt incredible was like, for me, it was Legion. I loved Legion, but everything since has been a little...
Yeah, no, I'm certainly not going to get involved with another big time sink of a game. But anyway, so, hey, some good news, Scott. I got Thanos and Marvel Snap.
Oh, nice. You're a huge nerd.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
I'm not going to waste my time with a huge time sink of a game right into
huge time sink toilet.
It actually
game.
hasn't been a huge time sink for me, but
yeah, that's awesome. I have a picture right here. I'm gonna put them up. Look at that. Look at that, chat.
Shiny logo.
Yeah.
Says
so he's part of the new. So okay, some of you hung around the show yesterday after we finished, and Brian and I did a little brief interview, and some of you may have heard it on the Core podcast, which is where I put it. This is part of the new series of cards that are now available, right?
Pool 4 and Pool 5, which basically you can still get from random pulls, but you now have this thing called the collector's coins, and you can spend those to get cards that you want. And there's this like 4-hour rotation in the shop of like, here's another card. Want to buy it? No? Okay. Oh, Adam 12. She just got She-Hulk. That's the other one I want to buy as soon as I see She-Hulk in the store, because she will work with so many of the decks that I've built. But anyway, so the thing with Thanos, I thought, well, great. That's going to be such a fun character. He's a lot of fun to play, but he is by no means insta-win. If you start the game with him in your deck, then it also puts 6 Infinity Stones into your deck.
Okay.
And as you draw those and play them, they're 1 point each to play, or 1 energy to play. They all have individual powers, like draw another card. Yeah. Your opponent's cards are -1 at this location, etc.
Right.
But once you've played all 6, your Thanos goes from being a 6/8 to a 6/18. And, it becomes a huge beast to put in any one of the rows.
How many total cards are there in the Nicks? That are now available that you haven't gotten yet?
It's like 18 or something.
Okay.
It's like 8 in or 10 in pool 4 and 8 in pool 5 or something. It's not very many, and I'm not. There's a couple that I want, but I'm not in any hurry to get all of them.
You're in no rush. Big rush.
I'm in no rush. I'm going to play as I've been playing, and 16 total. Thank you, Sarah Nicks.
Cool.
It's 10 and 6, right? 10 in pool 4 and 6 in pool 5.
You'll have those by midnight.
Not at the rate I go. I know it sounds like I play this game a lot, but
no, you're
really
hard. Like we said on the thing yesterday, you're casual hardcore.
I'm casual hardcore.
Yeah.
Like, I'm uploading something to Dropbox that's going to take a minute. All right, I'll play a quick game of Marvel Snap, or waiting for the filament to heat up on the hot end of the 3D printer. Then great, I'll play a game while I'm waiting for that to heat up.
Yeah, why not?
So, yep.
I think that sounds great. Well, notwithstanding.
So if you want to see, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. What are you gonna say?
I was gonna say, if you want to see me play Thanos, then watch Coverville, and we'll talk about Coverville in just a couple minutes.
Oh yeah, you will be doing that. Today. That'll be good. Live stream, snap, and music. Everybody, music, snap,
Nice.
snap to the music is what we're saying.
Fleetwood Snap.
Fleetwood Snap. Now this. Whoops. Now this. Hey, look who it is. It's Amy. It's Amy, everybody. It's Amy Robinson. She's Red Fraggle 3. You know her in the chat rooms, but we know her as Amy Robinson. And she's joining us today to do a little Read This with Amy. Hi, Amy.
Oh, hi, Scott. It has been a minute.
It's been a minute.
Because, like, you got sick, and then it was Thanksgiving, and, like, I, of course, hung out with Brian a bunch, and we played a bunch of Snap.
Yeah.
Which was fun. But
we kind of wrecked our Thursdays pretty hard for 2 weeks, which sucked. I hated that. But I assume you had a nice holiday. Everything go okay?
Yeah, I had a pretty good time. We did a Friendsgiving, which is kind of our tradition. We have a friend who is a serious foodie, and he spends the entire week of Thanksgiving cooking, and then has between 20 and 50 people over. And
oh wow,
it's great.
Awesome. Yeah. I would.
That's a huge group. Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it takes over their whole house. It's an amazing thing, and it's one of those things where they put all the food out, and it's like buffet style, and everybody comes, and you kind of drop in, drop out as you will.
That sounds freaking tastic. My gosh, that sounds good.
That is the way to do it too. Like open house, so you don't have to say everybody show up at 12 o'clock. We're gonna eat at 1.
Yeah.
Exactly. Some of us get invited to breakfast that day also, which is extra special. But
it's the VIP list, right? You have to be
real friends. Yeah.
Well, and in fact, I was really honored because the year that of COVID, they were like, okay, we're really paring down this year. So it was literally like him, his wife's sister, and her husband, and us.
That was it.
And I was like, and thankfully we had really nice weather because we live in Georgia. Mm-hmm. So we were able to sit out on the back deck, and everything was outside and whatnot. So we felt pretty safe in that little gathering. But
sounds lovely.
I was really super honored by that. But that's not what I came to talk about today. So I have a list, because it's been so long. I have a list of things I wanted to mention to you guys. I had to write them all down.
Oh, wow. This is all like piled up over over the course of several non-Thursdays.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah. Well, to the point where I had to start a Google Keep list on it, because I'd be listening to back episodes or whatever on my, in my car, and I'm driving. I can't write crap down that I want to respond to. So I'd be like, Google, put this on my frog pants list.
Do you have a frog pants list?
Well, I did for this one. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's great. I love that.
Sometimes I do, because I'll think of something that I want to talk about on the segment, and then, it'll fly out of my brain, and then I'll of course remember it 20 minutes after the segment and go, damn it.
Yeah.
I forgot to talk about that thing. So
happens to us on the show all the time, so don't feel bad.
Oh, yeah, I know. So Scott, you mentioned that you and Kim were watching Great British Bake Off, and you know, Kim was like, I want more of that, but you've run out of it.
Yeah, we've
so
run out.
I have, in addition to Brian's recommendation of the, you know, the junior version of that.
So good.
I felt so like I wanted to cry watching them because it's so like stressful that they don't have any time management skills yet.
No,
and
they
you're
really
just
don't.
like, oh, sweet child, you're not going to have time to do that, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the first challenge for Heat B, but I think Tina and I counted between 8 kids, 47 cupcakes that fell on the floor. I think was where we lost.
That's a lot of cupcakes.
Gosh, it's too bad they don't have a dog. They just have like a big, you know, that's like Falcor comes through and just eats all the cupcakes.
Perfect,
you know?
perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the way to do it.
Wow.
So I have 2 additional recommendations for you that will give you that same kind of vibe. Okay, as the Great British Bake Off, but with grown-ups.
All right.
So one is called The Big Brunch, which is on HBO Max.
Yeah.
And it's not British people, but it's produced and hosted by Dan Levy. And it's like,
Kim started watching this. Yeah.
Is
it good? Because I was
This
worried.
looks really good. Yeah.
I was worried about it because it looks like one of these typical ones that are the competition ones I don't like as much as the British one.
No. It's got the same kind of vibe. Like they're all very supportive of one another.
Oh, good.
Cool. And it's great. I really enjoy it. And
Nice.
and the judges, frankly, are rooting for them as well.
That's
cool.
Cool.
It's great. We're really digging that one. The other one, if you just really need the British part of the vibe, there is the Great British Pottery Throwdown, which is amazing. It's the same exact format as the Great British Bake Off, but it's with pottery, and it's fantastic. It's really, really good. And same thing. They're all very, you know, supportive of one another, and it makes me want to make more pottery stuff.
I tried. I could not get through the first episode of that because they just kept playing Unchained Melody by the Righteous Brothers, and it just completely took me out of it.
You can only take so much of it, right? You can only do it for so long.
I'm kidding. I've not seen it.
He's joking, but yes.
Okay. I was like, I don't remember that, but yeah.
That's amazing.
It's really, really great. And like the judge that is sort of the Paul Hollywood analog is actually much, much kinder than Paul Hollywood. And he, like, when somebody does something really well, he cries. It's so precious.
Really?
That's
like,
adorable.
You don't get a handshake, you get tears.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what everybody was like. Yeah. Like the goal on British Bake Off is to get a Paul Hollywood handshake. This one, it's, can we make Keith cry? Like that's the thing everybody shoots for. It's awesome. It's great.
Love it.
And they always, every season, they have like bathroom week, and it's towards the end. It's like usually like the semifinal. They do bathroom week, and you know, they've made sinks and stuff like that, but like they make them make working toilets. And
oh my gosh, wow!
I know. And one season, this will tie in. I have a whole roadmap for how this is going. One season, they had them make urinals, but fun fact, did you know that in Britain they say it like urinal?
Urinal, yes. Oh yeah.
I did not know this. I seriously thought that they were being funny when they first started saying it, and then like they kept saying urinal over and over again, and I was just like, what is that? It sounds so weird.
Urinal.
It's not, you know, it's not like pee is urine. Like
no.
I don't whatever. I don't know.
It's true.
Anyway,
maybe it is over there. Maybe they say things like, well, what would be a urologist over there? Would they be a urinerist?
Urinologist? Instead of a urologist.
I don't know. Zoe, you have some explaining to do. But anyway, that's fascinating. Yeah.
So that kind of ties into what I kind of wanted to touch on from the show with Bobby from the other day. You guys spent a lot of time talking about, you know, pee, and specifically boy pee.
Yeah,
so
boy pee.
I thought I would bring I figured, all right, well, this is not an off limits topic, so I'll go ahead and talk about girl pee.
Thank
but,
goodness. There's some equal representation here. We've been dying for.
Right. So, I mentioned this to you guys, but I thought I'd go ahead and just announce it on the show. Partly because it serves as a PSA. Ladies, if you've been having chronic pain and your doctor's not listening to you and just telling you need to lose weight or whatever, advocate for yourself. Because I was in that situation for 3 years, and it turned out I have a condition called adenomyosis, which is sort of endometriosis's lesser known evil twin sister. So on Monday, December 5th, I will be going and having a hysterectomy. Yeah.
Kim did this, by the way, so I have some experience as the husband in the. So you know what, Chuck? It's not as bad as it sounds. It's all going to be fine. All right, that's all I have to say to Chuck.
Frankly, I'm really super excited about it because I'm like, I've had, my kids are all teenagers and I am done with that particular appliance. I don't need it anymore. And I am all for Ursula can be, just evicted. That's the word. Yes.
Wow.
Just
okay.
Ursula.
Evict
Wow.
Ursula. Yes.
Is she based on the Little Mermaid evil lady?
Well, I mean, think about how a uterus is shaped. It kind of works, right? If you flip Ursula upside down with the
tubes do you have?
After Monday, the answer will be 0.
Nice. No, it's an interesting way to do it. I've never thought about naming it a Disney villain, but this is pretty good.
But the naming parts thing gets better. So it also turns out like they referred me to my surgeon referred me to the partner in her practice because I was also having, and this is again a thing I kind of just assumed that us ladies of a certain age who have given birth to kids, like it's just kind of normal for us to pee a little when we sneeze. Yeah. No, that's not normal, and they can fix it. So it's called stress incontinence, and they can totally fix it. And so they're going to fix that while they're in there. So, Ursula is going away and Urethra Franklin is going to be, put into a little hammock. So.
Wow. There's so much respect for you right
there
now.
You go. Well, I have to give credit where that one's due. Chuck came up with Urethra Franklin.
Urethra Franklin. Nicely done, Chuck.
Well done.
Yeah, the guy that none of this affects. He's got all the time in the world to come up with some cool jokes, and I think that's great.
Right.
So this is all. This is kind of a big deal, though. I mean, it's surgery. It's major surgery.
Yeah.
Yes. So. Yeah. I'll be very excited to be done, and but yeah, be thinking about me. I obviously won't be in chat on Monday, and I'll be a little iffy for most of next week, but I think I'll probably be okay to do next week's show on Thursday, but we'll see. So keep some extra news things on the back burner just in case or something. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Just in case my pain meds are too effective.
Just don't have any kind of cough going in because Kim was getting over a cold when they did her surgery and her cough hung around, and watching her try to cough quietly and softly while post-surgery, not splitting any, stitches or causing any issues. That was rough, freaking real bad. Like, so just don't cough. You'll be fine. You got this.
Yeah,
you're all safe.
Fine. You'll be fine.
Oh, yeah. Well, thankfully, currently, I do not have a cough, so I will try and keep it so.
Nice.
So all right. So that's all my housekeeping-y things that I had to do. So now we can get to the actual read this portion of things. So I don't have my plan because really next week sort of will mark the 1-year anniversary of this segment on the show.
Has it really been a year that we've been doing this?
Wow.
I know, right?
That's crazy, dude. Oh my
gosh. Crazy.
Huh. That's wild.
But as I mentioned, I might not be available next week. So I figure we just do it this week.
Sure.
Plus, my life's been too crazy and hectic for me to prepare a book. So I just figured we would discuss. I got some feedback from the tadpole. Dreadnecks was very kind enough to create a cool survey so we could get some feedback from listeners and whatnot on the segment. And so I thought I would share some of the responses here. And honestly, I figured I would get what you guys thought about these questions as well.
That
'cause
sounds
that'd
great.
be cool.
No, that's awesome. It's basically a Google form chat. I just put it in there. If you haven't had a chance to fill it out, you feel free. It never hurts to have more data. But I'm very curious about how, what people read this year, why they read it, that sort of stuff. So let's get to it.
For sure. All right. So, first question. What was the best fiction book you read all year and why?
Oh, man. I'm going to answer this. Can I tell you what I liked
Please
the most?
do, because then I'll do mine.
I read the first book it's old, so I feel like I'm just getting to the party here. And I brought it up before because I was in the middle of reading it, but I read the first book in the Stormlight Archive series by Brandon Sanderson, and I loved that book. I finally get it, why people are so freaked out about it. And I would really like that to be, if you're going to make a bunch of book to TV translation stuff like we're seeing these days, Wheel of Time, Rings of Power, freaking The Peripheral, all this stuff, make one for that. And maybe something's in the works, but that needs to be a TV show or a movie series or something, because it's really fantastic. So
yeah, I hear great things about Brandon Sanderson books. I am also, you're not alone. I'm late to that party as well. So it's definitely on my to be read list.
Yeah, it's awesome. I also chat mentions the Mistborn series is also very good from him. That is definitely on my list. I will get to it. There's so much of it though. Like there's a ton of it. He's he took over Wheel of Time when Robert Jordan died. Robert Jordan. Yeah. I think he did something with Dune. I can't remember if he was the one that helped do some post passing away of the author Dune stuff. Maybe not. Anyway, he is amazing. Everything he writes is great, and he's a local boy, so I like to support that as well. He just lives out here in American Fork, like 25 minutes from me.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Anyway,
how about you, Brian?
Brian, yeah, what do you got?
Yeah, the best book I read fiction book I read this year was The Invention of Sound by, surprise, Chuck Palahniuk. That's kind of like, if I'm going to read fiction, the first thing I go to is to see, does Chuck Palahniuk have something brand new? And just realizing he has a Fight Club 3 that I didn't even know existed. So
really? That's cool. Yeah. I didn't know he was still writing,
Fight
actually.
Club 2 was a graphic novel, and I think I've got the color, like it's basically a coloring book as well. Fight Club 2 coloring book and graphic novel. So I need to get to that one. Anyway, Invention of Sound is about a
don't run out of red.
Yeah, right, exactly. Bruises and blood. Invention of Sound is about a Foley artist who has a unique way of capturing very realistic sounding screams for the movies that she's hired to provide sound for. And it's right up, obviously, if you know anything about Chuck Palahniuk, you can probably guess what she's doing to get perfect screams from people, but it's still really, really good.
I would like to check that out. I mean, I always forget Fight Club was his first novel. Like that was his beginning.
It was, yeah. I mean, that's where we exactly. And then it wasn't even the order that I read. Like I guess I saw Fight Club, and then I said, I need to check him out. And then I read Survivor and Invisible Monsters, and then went back and read Fight Club, and it's like, oh my God. And I've read, looking at his bibliography here, and there's only like 4 or 5 things of his that I haven't read, and I need to rectify that situation.
Invention of Sound was 2020, so new. Yeah,
2020, so newish, but that's the newest thing newest fiction that he's released. I think he's done some short stories or something.
Yeah, he's got short fiction, something for Playboy in 2019 called Repercussions. He did. He writes a lot for Playboy, but also Vice. Anyway,
Fangoria. Yeah.
He's an interesting dude across the board.
He really is. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Cool. Very cool. All right. So, I'm having a hard time actually answering this question myself, but, I'm kind of like, when I'm asked like, what was my favorite thing about, or whatever, I often answer it the same way you answer, like, what's your favorite beer? Oh, the last one I had, or the next one I'm going to have, kind of thing.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But I mean, in this case, literally, I did it. So I read a lot this year. I read a lot of nonfiction this year, but I think probably my favorite fiction is the one I just talked about last time, which was The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. That one was really, really good. I really enjoyed that book a lot.
Do you feel like with movies, like sometimes the last really great thing you saw is so present in your head that that it's hard to give credit back to the thing you read in February or saw in February? Does that affect you as well? Like you feel like kind of like award season, like the Oscars focus on everything that came out between October and December, whereas there may have been something amazing in May that everybody's forgetting about or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. And if I had actually, sat down and prepped for this part of the segment, like a smart person would have done, I would have gone back and looked at TMS, quick TMS.ly and looked at the list and actually picked my favorite from that. But, I didn't. So, but yeah, I honestly that one was a cool, surprising one. Like, whenever I read, an author I'm super familiar with or whatever, it's lovely and it's exciting and fun, but it's not surprising that I love it. If I pick something at random and I'm like, ooh, look, neat new thing I found, that's always really fun and satisfying. So yeah, I'm gonna keep that.
You guys are both way better than I am at the, you know what? I don't know anything else by this artist. I'm just gonna go for it and see how it is. I'm like, no, I really need to pick something that, from somebody that I'm familiar with or that, has a track record with me, because I'll be honest, I don't read a lot of books. I'm not much for the book reading.
I don't read a lot of books.
It's only because I've got this list of things that I have to watch. So at night, when it comes time to should I read a book or should I watch that next episode of 1899 or that episode of the thing I'm going to recommend till next week? I've got to do that.
No, you're totally right. I do the same thing with the Stormlight Archive book was the only major fiction-y thing I read this year. I read more previous year, but that's for the same reason. I've got video games and television and movies and
that's true. Yeah,
all the things I love. I just can't. I can't read as much as I probably should. I feel a little guilty.
There's only so much time and only so much brain space, honestly. But I have suggestions for, potentially, basically this works for everybody really, but particularly I was thinking about Brian, since it's like your off season on the bike and you've got your recumbent bike, you could get audiobooks and listen to them on the recumbent bike.
That's a really, really good idea. Instead of doing the perennially smiling Fitness Plus instructors that I just want to I just want to punch them. But
but they're so positive, Brian. They're so excited for you and your
exactly why I want to punch them. But that's that's what's great about that is that I just need to figure out some sort of trigger to all right, every time they mention a certain thing, I'm going to up the dial for resistance. And then when they mention another thing, I'll lower the dial for resistance. So
there you go.
read one of your recommendations, and then I'll finally do a Ring World or a
You mean Discworld?
Sorry, Discworld. See? That's
okay.
it. Yeah. No, I meant Ring World, which is the
Ring World.
Yes,
that's the Weird Al version.
Right, exactly.
So, all right.
It's the J.R. Tolkien version of Discworld. Is Ring World.
Much darker.
Molly is the star of that one, by the way.
Yeah,
sure. Sure.
Okay. So what was the best nonfiction book you read all year?
Okay, this is where
same question, but with
instruction manual for my 4K TV. I could not put it down.
It was riveting from page 1 to the end. Until it became Spanish and French, I loved it. I don't think I read a nonfiction thing this year. The closest I came to it was a comic book that was about a real thing, called, oh crap, Schleicher would make fun of me right now. The Asian something. I'll look it up. It's very good, and I would highly recommend it. It won the Eisner this year and all that stuff, and deserved it. If I can find the damn thing. Here it is, comics. I don't want to not do this now that I've gone this far, so I'm just keep looking. It's called... Shoot. Oh, The Good Asian, Volume 1 and 2. Excellent, excellent comic book. Real good. And it's about an actual historical thing.
that's right. I remember you and Schleicher talking about that, and
Yeah.
I meant to read it.
I know
so.
it's not quite the same because there is some fictional aspects of it, but it's as close as I came to reading a nonfiction book this year. I just didn't get around to anything. Brian, how about you?
Brian, do you have one?
I read Kevin Smith's autobiography called Tough Shit, Life Advice from a Fat Lazy Slob Who Did Good.
Yeah.
This is what makes me feel like reading this is what makes me feel like I could do an autobiography. Talk about, the life and times of a podcaster in the basement and a former wedding DJ, former Lyft driver, hope to be again one day.
Lyft driver on hiatus.
Let's call it that. Yes, exactly. No, his writing style is super accessible. Like it is like listening to him do one of his talks, which you just basically hear his voice in your head when you're reading this. And he loves all of it. It's no surprise. He loves all the same things we do. He's just this schlub who lucked out with putting all this Clerks money on his credit cards, created a movie, and we all went and see it, and he became a thing. Yeah. And good for him. But hearing him he talks a little bit about the Bruce Willis thing and
Oh, right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, him being on set and just basically ignoring everybody, and kind of now we know a little bit more about that, we think anyway.
Yeah.
But it's a really, really good read, and a really quick read too. It's 480 pages, and it's
that just came out this year?
No, that came out. Wow, it came out back in 2012, but it got sent to me in a like one of those Geek Fuel or Loot Crate boxes. I can't remember which one I was subscribed to, and it sent it to me, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll read this. And again, it was kind of like it was such a quick read, I couldn't put it down.
So it's before his heart attack and his weight loss and all that.
Oh yeah, it talks about his weight. It's before his heart attack, but he did some weight loss stuff before.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
2012, I thought. Maybe
Yeah.
not.
Well, have you seen no, he did, because have you seen the stand-up? There's a stand-up special that was released, and it was literally like the special that he recorded, and then he went to the green room and had a heart attack in the green room. Like,
oh wow.
And they just released that this year. It's great. It's hilarious and whatnot. And but it's kind of weird to watch.
You're like, what's going to happen before that, which is.
Yeah. And he talks about how much weight he has already lost. And he talks about all that. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm healthy now. I'm not going to die. And we're all like, oh God. So, thankfully he made it through all of that, but like
that was well after, obviously that was 2018. Yeah. He did the eliminating sugar and did juice fast in 2014. So 2 years after the book, and went from 330 to 240 pounds.
That's a chunk of weight gone.
That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Gave up the shug.
That's like when Gilbert Gottfried died. He recorded a podcast and then died. And I always think about that because the podcast went fine, no issues, everything was good, and then he went home, didn't feel well, died. Crazy.
God, I sure hope my last podcast, is like a Coverville on Milli Vanilli or something. I want it to be something like the best Bowie podcast I've ever done, and then Brian died.
That sounds right. All right.
Yeah, so I'd say mine was probably Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. That thing was fantastic. And, again, I love consuming autobiographies in audiobook form, particularly if the author, reads their own stuff. And so, because you're actually listening to them tell you their story, and it's great. Right. So I read a lot of those, or I listen to a lot of those. But yeah, man, that Trevor Noah one just had me. It was, first of all, of course, it's Trevor Noah, so I was in just stitches,
sure,
cracking up at it. But also, it's a very compelling, very emotional story. So It's really, really good.
Right.
Definitely recommend.
Very,
all right.
Very cool.
If you read one or more books that Amy recommended this year, what was your favorite?
I didn't read any of them yet.
You like that Trevor Noah thing, Tina and I listened to, well, she listened to the whole thing. I listened to a lot of it when I was around her when she was listening to it. And then the Graveyard book I had read. think there was there another one that you had recommended that I'd already read I mean, there was the recommendation that I gave you.
Right. But for the horror week, yeah.
For the
I'm
horror
like, yeah,
week.
I don't read those.
But Graveyard Book. I just remember loving that book when I read it, and so that was a great recommendation. I back it up completely.
Cool. Yeah. So like, I'm not gonna talk about which ones of my recommendations are my
What
favorite,
was your favorite of your segments?
well, honestly, it's like, so I'm looking at some of the responses from the listeners, and a lot of people had the same thing. They're like, oh, I didn't get to anything, but they're on my list and whatnot. But a lot of people talked about Broken by Jenny Lawson, and how like it was just really, really impactful for me to recommend that to them, and they just absolutely loved it. A couple people said Fortunately the Milk by Neil Gaiman, because they weren't aware that it existed, and they were really excited to read it with their kids.
Cool.
That was the kids book that had the illustrations that were so cool and everything, so and I did a little reading for that segment. So I don't know, it just, that always tickles me when people tell me like, oh, I read this and I loved it. I had a listener that was messaging me on Facebook kind of in real time as she was reading The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. She's going, oh my gosh, this is the case. And I'm like, oh honey, just wait. Just keep going.
Just let it ride.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. All right. What types of books or authors would you like to hear recommended more?
Recommended more. See, that's interesting, because I do like horror books, zombie books, apocalyptic stuff. I'm into, I like the book Wool, short story Wool, but still. I think Apple's making an adaptation of that. I'm very excited about that. But anything that deals with like that, those kinds of themes and elements, I love. But I don't think you're into that.
Yeah, you're gonna have to start reading some horror to make Scott happy.
Because I love Stephen King. I love all that sort of thing. Well, so I don't know. I don't know why I even like any of it, to be honest. But I do. I like it all. Big fan.
Oof. Yeah. I don't know if I can read. I can give you guys, like, I will film myself watching Alien. I'll give you that one, and then I'll clip it up and give you some good, like a Scott plays a scary video game style mashup of that, because that'll be fun.
I did put in there.
I can read a scary book though, because it'll be in my brain forever and I won't sleep.
When I filled out the form, I put science fiction, I think is what I wrote. So I would like more. I love science fiction of any kind. Really, it doesn't have to be scary or space horror, but I don't mind space horror either.
Yeah, a lot of people said stuff like a couple people said horror, please. Someone Claire, I think, said I want some more raunchy adult stuff.
Of course she does. Of course.
She wants 100 Shades of Grey is what she's looking for.
Right, yeah.
Someone needs to keep their eye on her in Vegas, by the way.
Sci-fi and yeah, Vegas, we have to,
just keep your eye on her in Vegas. That's all I'm saying. Just nobody lose track of her. Just
yeah. Claire, you're on a leash. Sci-fi fantasy is the most popular answer here.
That's what she wants.
Yeah, she wants to be on a leash. You're not wrong. I think you might be right.
And then someone said cookbooks, and so I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, I can do that. I can, because we got some cookbooks in our house for sure. So yeah, I'll totally take that under advisement, y'all.
Right.
So
like
good stuff. All right, and then the last question is just any other comments or thoughts on the segment that we haven't asked about.
I mean, I really like it. I think it's been I can't believe it's been a year, but I think that's part of its charm, is that it doesn't feel like it's been a year. It's been, a perfectly suitable thing for the show. It was a great thing to slot in, and it feels natural. So I just think more of that, I really enjoyed it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Very
cool.
Yeah.
Seconded.
Well, thanks, guys. Yeah, and everybody was super kind, and I want to thank you guys, because I'm really enjoying doing the segment also, and I love you guys.
Oh, that's so sweet.
We love you too.
We really like you a lot. Like, listen, of all the people getting uterus removed this week, you're my absolute favorite. Okay.
Aww.
Absolute favorite.
Yeah, and everybody in the Tadpole with their response was also just, really, really sweet and kind, and I appreciate that. So yeah, and like somebody did say, and I think this is a good suggestion, that I sometimes repeat authors. Yeah, I'm gonna do that because I get a hold of one author and I read a lot of them. Sorry.
Yeah.
But they said also, maybe we can sprinkle in some lesser known authors, like people who are either just getting started or just maybe people haven't heard of, less stuff like Neil Gaiman.
Basically.
Yeah. Maybe less Neil Gaiman and a little more, lesser known folks. And I absolutely agree. And good suggestion.
Yeah,
good
I like
suggestion.
that a lot. It's very good. Well, we'll have more of this soon. Whether you're here next week or not, I mean, you got to take whatever rest you need. But if you're here, great. If not, we'll think of you, and maybe Brian and I will bring our own little book recommendations that day.
Sure.
Very cool. September in the chat also said that she would be glad to sub in for me some week and do horror suggestions.
Oh yeah,
So,
look, here's the deal.
That's
If you're down next week with recovery, which again, totally fine. September, feel free to be ready for that because we'd love to have you. Be totally fine.
Cool. Also, very awesome thing that my husband got me was a Steam Deck. He gave it to me early because next week is my birthday as well. And so he gave me my Steam Deck as my birthday present early. So y'all bring me your Steam Deck game suggestions.
I got a whole list for you.
Gotcha.
And the good news is the Steam Deck weighs exactly the same amount as the average uterus. So you're just trading them.
Hey.
Basically.
Yeah.
Right.
You're Indiana Jones. You're just like swapping the bag of sand for the idol.
Perfect.
Yep.
There you go.
That's a terrible, terrible comparison.
Wow. I don't think I've ever heard lady parts compared to a bag of sand.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah.
It's more of the idol, I suppose. But no, I'm very excited for you to hear that. My Steam Deck's my favorite thing this year. I freaking love it from a gaming perspective. So I will send you a big old list of stuff that I've been accumulating that is really the best games on the device. So
It's a
Yes,
great list.
please do.
I've gotten stuff from that list myself. So
very nice. I need to update it. I got about 10 games that need to go on there, but I'll send that link to you after the show.
Cool.
Congratulations, early happy birthday, and good luck on the surgery, and let us know how it goes.
Thanks, guys.
It's Amy Robinson, everybody.
Chuck will be updating you guys like on progress of the surgery and all that stuff.
Cool.
So,
Nice.
you guys are on. I made him a list of people to, text and keep in the loop, and you guys are on that list. So
Nice. Well, I appreciate that. That'll be good to know. Amy Robinson, Red Fraggle 3, wherever you find her. Amy, have a great week, and good luck at the doctors. We'll see you next time.
thanks.
Bye now.
Bye.
bye.
Southern uterus removal.
That's right.
We are going to take a break and then come back with my sister Wendi.
Yep.
This break is brought to you by Coverville, right? Tell me more.
It is. Yeah, today's Coverville, as you might expect, it'll be a tribute to Christine Perfect, but when she married John McVie, of course, she became Christine McVie of Fleetwood Mac. So a really quick substitution, although you're still going to get the original, one set of the original artist that I was going to do tomorrow, which is Joe Walsh, member of the Eagles. Basically, took out some Eagles stuff and just made it focused on Joe Walsh. So Life's Been Good, Rocky Mountain Way, all the great stuff, and probably the best version of Life's Been Good that you're ever going to hear. So Christine McVie, Joe Walsh on today's Coverville, 1 p.m. Mountain Time, twitch.tv/Coverville. And of course, I'll be playing nothing but Thanos decks in Marvel Snap.
Nice. You got to get that card. Give him some traction, man. Just
I
got
gotta
him.
figure out how to play him because right now I've played the 5 games this morning and I lost 3 of them. So far he is not even batting 500.
Damn. All right.
Yeah.
Well, he's 50% there. We'll get
He's
there.
50% there. He's not even, but hopefully.
Yeah.
I need him to. But let's get to an indie in the middle here. This is a brand new song from a group called Fire Sale. They're a punk rock supergroup made up of Matt Riddle from Face to Face and No Use for a Name. You've heard of them. Chris Swinney from the Ataris and Pedro Ida from Ann Beretta, as well as Matt Morris. And they've gotten together to form a punk band called Fire Sale. They've got a new 2-song single. Here is A Fool's Errand.
Hello! Or should I say, buenos dias.
This time, pay close attention to the flaps.
The morning stream. God, I'm a handsome guy. Look at that.
All right, we've returned. Tell me once more who that was.
You know, Fletcher's not wrong. Fire Sale is the name of that band. Brand new song called A Fool's Errand. And great supergroup to check out right now.
Nice. All right, we're going to get my sister up in it here.
Cool.
She's, we're coming today prepared for an annual kind of thing. We've talked about this a few times before. There's no reason why we can't talk about it again, so let's do it.
Everyone knows it's Wendi.
Hey, it's my sister Wendi, all the way from Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Minnesota.
You don't have any accent yet. That bugs me. I want you to
Oh, no. Every once in a while it'll come out and I'm like, ooh, no.
When was the last time you said, don't you know?
Yeah.
Don't you know? I say, okay, here's what I've fully adopted.
Go.
OPE.
For like when you make a mistake or something? Oh.
Yeah, or you're in someone's way, and you say, oh, and they say, oh, back, and everyone says, oh. I love it. The other thing I said totally naturally the other day, and I was like, okay, here we go, is keep her moving. They're all
awesome.
Very like folksy things, and it just makes me laugh.
I love that kind of
my
stuff.
Favorite.
Big fan of that. I wonder if ope is like comes from something like the original the Swedish settlers. Was there a version of a word that ope came from, or is it just?
Yeah, totally.
It's got to be like an oops, but you say it whoops.
Ope.
Yep.
Right.
Oops. Yep.
Burp.
And it's just OPE now. They've changed the spelling and everything.
I love it. I love it. The OPE is also a terrorist organization on the what's that show? The Expanse, I think. OPE, isn't it?
It is. You're right.
OPE, OPA, OPA.
OPA.
OPA. Opa.
Yeah.
Opa.
That'll be the next evolution of this.
It's also a
Something like
Norwegian origin to that.
Hey, real quick question: Did you get that dumb gift I sent you?
I did. It wasn't dumb. First of all, I love the stickers. I'm excited about that.
Oh,
and
okay,
you've sent that to me before, right? I now have two.
I didn't know you had two metal ones. Did I really send you two metal ones?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. It was
crap.
probably 15 years ago, so I'd be surprised if you remember. But I was excited because here's what I do every year: is I put it on my Christmas tree. So now I have two of them.
Oh, that's nice. So, this isn't confusing to everybody, but Wendi and I have a tradition, or we had most of our lives for Thanksgiving, which a lot of people did. But we would be the ones that would get the wishbone, and it got very competitive, like very competitive. And Wendi would often win. I think not because of cheating, but she just knows stuff. I don't know, whatever. She knows stuff about the bone. But since she's gone a lot, or we're not around during Thanksgiving anymore, I found her a little pewter wishbone, like a turkey wishbone, and now I've learned that I've sent that before 15 years ago and don't remember it. So there you go. This is a sign of something. Yeah.
So thanks. I expect one in 15 years.
All
so
right.
Keep it coming.
If I make it that far, I got you covered. Don't you worry.
Keep her moving.
Keep her moving. Whoop. All right. Here's the deal. We're going to dive into a perennial discussion about, some people call it SAD because that's short for seasonal affective disorder. This is something my dad had. Our dad had in a big way. He had really struggled with this in the winter specifically. And he would do the whole I'm getting these lights, and I heard if you do the thing with the light at the certain time and the brap, you'd, would help or whatever. I don't know if any of that stuff ever helped him, but I got a little bit of this. I don't think it's as bad as Dad did, but it gets darker earlier, the cold, the just kind of feeling of some parts of winter. If it wasn't for the holidays, it would just be really stark, And I think a lot of people probably feel that way. So we're going to touch on that again this week.
Yeah. Have we talked about it before? I guess
we have before. A couple not last year before that, maybe we talked about it. That was also more in like the, hey, it's 2020 and COVID sucks. And
there was a lot more to be sad about.
More sadness happening.
Right.
I was talking to an older gentleman last night about his experience. He loves to ask me things like, okay, well, you're a therapist. That's how he always starts the conversation. Sure. You're a therapist.
It's a great opener.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, what do you need to know? Anyway, but basically it was just, he's like, he's lived here his whole life. There are some serious winters in this part of the country. And, how do you manage it? What to do? And it got me thinking, like, this isn't common knowledge. Like, and he's an older guy. He struggled his whole life, kind of just thought that's what it was. Anyway, so we went through a couple things that made me think we should chat about it.
Mm-hmm.
Just because there's a couple really important things to be doing that your whole entire system, especially when it gets going and you feel really crappy, it's like the opposite of what every fiber of your being wants to do. And yet those are going to be really important things. So let's just talk through what it is. Okay. So let's start with, the body needs a couple of things to function emotionally at its peak. So neurotransmitters need to be in a decent order. Enough vitamin D. That's something we've discovered over, the last century.
Yeah.
So we're in the next century, aren't we?
Yeah.
And we've known it for a little while, just how important vitamin D processing is in mood regulation. And it feels kind of weird and elusive because, you're like going to get it through your milk, and then you're going to get it through the sun, and then you're going to get it through your vitamins or, whatever. And not everyone processes it exactly the same. And there is potentially some genetic differences. So what's interesting, speaking of the old Swedish and Norwegian heritage, living over there really is a whole season. It's like Alaska, where it is really dark. Mm-hmm. And so your access to vitamin C or vitamin D is not going to come from that source. You have to find a different way to get it. So, you can take cultures that have always been in those areas and sort of see how they handle it. So I'll talk about that in a second. But I think that is a big challenge, that people don't have enough vitamin D. So when you go to your doctors and they do a blood panel and they kind of check things out, they'll usually check your vitamin D. Do you guys know what your vitamin D levels are?
Yeah, I got a blood test, or my last blood test said that it was finally in a good place, but for about a year it was real bad, and I didn't know that. Yeah. And so they gave me, she's like, just take, was it 10,000 BTUs or not BTUs?
It's some hot vitamin D.
Not B. What am I thinking? PSI. That's pounds per square inch. I can't think of anything.
What are they called? Yeah.
Anyway,
units.
Whatever it is, units. Just over the counter, normal supplement, whatever. Yeah. And I started doing that, and the most recent blood test showed that D was finally in a place we want it. So, and apparently, it's just some people are just lower than others, or can't maintain it as much, or whatever.
And there can be genes. So there's a couple genes we've discovered that do certain processing better than others, and they can run through family lines and sometimes cultural lines. Like very common gene disruptor, a gene that doesn't process folic acid very well, we can often find in people who are descended from Germanic folks. And so surely, some of your and my ancestors, Scott, did not process vitamin D in fully the way God intended.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So that can be a part of it. So honestly, when you look at your family history, so we obviously know our at least one member of our family history, our dad. My first exposure to his light therapy exposure was I just walked into his office once, and he's surrounded by bright lights, and I'm probably 8 or 9.
Yeah, I remember this.
And I'm like, that's a lot of light. What are you doing? I made no sense of what that was. And he kind of explained it, but I just was a kid, so I don't care. So I walked away. But I just never noticed, right? Like, is this in the winter? And then he would do lots of other sorts of trying to balance different vitamin deficiencies in different ways. Like we joke about it on the show about him. What did he do? He juiced wheatgrass.
Yeah, he juiced wheatgrass for a long time. For what he was doing.
Those. Be like a plot of lawn on our kitchen counter.
That's what it felt like. It was like a big piece of sod in there.
Yeah, so gross. And he used to make me drink. Like in high school, he'd be like, "You need this for basketball," and it would be the grossest combination of something.
Germ or something.
Yeah. I'd be like, "No," and I would almost throw up. Now I might be like, "Oh, cool," and I would try it.
I gotta say, that's really forward thinking for a dude. Usually like
in 1991.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. It was a long time ago, and I think, and this Scott and I probably have inherited a little bit of this, of just our reticence with the medical profession sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think he just didn't get good answers back in the day, and so he just kind of did his own things that made him feel better. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't that was not ubiquitous to have the lights. I think in the 80s.
No, and getting that information, he didn't go find it on Google.
Yeah, there was no internet.
No.
Yeah.
91 or prior, he would go like, I don't know where he got them, books. I don't know where he got them.
You say like a magazine? Did he subscribe to like Healthy Living or something?
It might have been like that. Yeah, like a magazine. Yeah. Crazy though.
So he did some funny stuff. So I think we inherited a little of like, are you sure, doctor? Are you just, yeah. And I worry because my kids will probably never go to the doctors themselves because I'm so bad at it. But anyway, I also have very low vitamin D. I was told that in Sweden. And of course, in Sweden, it's really hard to get vitamin D. So I should have believed them. And then I move here and every year my doctor's like, so are we going to stop being in denial about your vitamin D? Because I don't feel much mood effect. I say this right now. I don't experience sad very often if I do at all. And I think there's a couple of reasons which I'll get into that I do pretty naturally, so I don't have to try too hard.
Yeah.
But I am doing things that are the prescription for seasonal affective disorder. So I probably have the biological. Obviously, I don't do vitamin D well, and I am. Everyone, clap for me now. Taking vitamin D for the first time after being told for 10 years.
Look at you. Nicely done. When do you find, I guess you'll find out next time you get a blood test.
Yeah, so next time. I just had to have at least one embarrassing second blood test where she's like, yeah, it hasn't moved. You clearly have not done this. I'm like, oh.
Oops.
So now I'm going to be a grown-up and take my vitamins. And I think, so that's what's happening there. But so let's get into how it's experienced. So when Scott, you say, I sort of have this, or we know Dad did, like tell me what you sort of experienced. Give me an example and then we'll walk through.
It's like, I wouldn't compare it to like, and I don't want to say that that's not true for someone else. So this is just my experience, but I don't feel like depression per se, more of like just kind of a malaise. Like, I don't want to do this. Right. Like a little bit, almost like too much sun does to me. Like if you're out in the sun too long, get a little heat stroke, not enough water or whatever. That feeling of like, I'm just going to lay here. I don't want to do anything. Like that feeling is how I feel with it.
In the winter.
And I have to like wrestle with it and go, no, damn it. I got stuff to do. And I got to force myself through it. And it sucks. I hate it.
Like a little slog. You should be born and raised in San Diego. It sounds like.
All right, let's go. Okay. Let's do it.
And that's a lot of people, right? And okay, so let me go through the signs and symptoms. And you described it pretty well. It's feeling listless, sad or down most of the day, and it's usually happening every day. It's kind of like just like a weight on you.
Yeah, I think it's
an energy drain. So losing interest in activities that maybe you would normally enjoy.
Yeah.
Having low energy, feeling sluggish, and then having problems with sleeping too much, kind of like a hibernation feeling, can be really common.
Right.
Craving.
No problem with me.
Yeah, you're not a hibernator.
No.
Carbohydrates, craving carbohydrates.
Oh yeah.
A lot of overeating, weight gain. It's kind of a winter, like really is bear like, right? I gotta store up.
You're storing up, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then having difficulty concentrating, feeling a little bit guilty or hopeless, and then having thoughts of not wanting to live is where we get real dark. Okay. Yeah. So that can be seasonal affective, and it can happen. Most people think, oh, it's just a winter thing. It can happen in the fall and winter, and it can also happen in the spring and summer.
All right.
And so it kind of depends on some of the symptoms are different. Spring and summer.
That's interesting because I thought spring and summer would be the relief. I mean, it's the relief for me, so that's all I know. But I mean, I assume that would be kind of universal. I didn't know it would still be a different kind of problem, I guess.
I don't think people call it sad. Often they'll just call it like summer depression or just, different things. And so you'll have kind of the opposite problems where you want to sleep less. You're experiencing insomnia. Your appetite is poor. You lose weight. It's like the bear has now out and hungry, I guess. Lost weight or something. Agitation or anxiety and increased irritability. That's what it shows up more like in the summer, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so why is it happening? So your biological clock. Now, this is why we hate daylight savings so much, right?
Yeah.
It's like reason. A kick into it. Don't you feel like it is? It's I kick you right into this feeling.
Yeah, it sucks. It really does. If I feel it tangibly for the fall back one, the one we're in now, Where when I was a kid, I was like, yeah, we're getting another hour because I was dumb, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But now I see it and go, oh, you're just going to make it dark earlier. This is lame.
Yes. Now I see through.
Yeah, I get it now, you lying farmers or whatever, whoever the hell.
To get me to shop more later or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can have your biological clock can be one of the causes, right? Your circadian rhythms are off. The less light disrupts your body's internal clock. It thinks it's winter, night all the time.
Sure.
Serotonin levels will drop, and that can affect mood and play a role. And sunlight can cause a drop in serotonin. So this isn't made up for you if you're like, oh, I don't feel so good in the dark of the winter. It's because literally there's less serotonin. And also your melatonin levels can be disrupted too, and they play a role in sleep.
Right.
Okay. So risk factors, we already talked about family history. So you're more likely to have it if a blood relative had it in some form, or even any other forms of depression.
Sure.
Having major depression or bipolar will put you at higher risk for seasonal affective disorder. Living far from the equator, all of my northern friends, and then low levels of vitamin D.
Yeah. Got to get that D. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
I say it in the morning. Kids like, you're going to take your vitamins. I go, got to get that D. Get that D. Yep.
Is that really what you say?
I really do.
Really
I literally do, and it irritates her to death, but I do it every day.
Okay.
You do it on this show too.
Yep.
Okay, good to know. All right, so then why is this a problem? So this is where I'm going to tell you about the Swedish handling of seasonal affective disorder.
Okay.
Which at the time, I think it's more problematic than it is cute, like I used to think it was. Okay. And that is, so we get there and I'm in a Swedish class with immigrants from all over the place, and they start to just teach us different things. So it's still light and summery outside.
Swedish class,
then,
like Swedish, like
Swedish
a language
then,
class? Okay.
Yeah. So then they teach us about they call it the winter Swede and the summer Swede. And you're like, oh, what's this? And it is, and then they showed us funny pictures, and it's like cozy, hunkered down, lit candles, very, night, that whole cozy vibe that Swedes love and the Danes love. And you hear about their little huggy, that stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's the winter coziness thing. And then the summer Swede is, and it's pictures of people like sunflowers just standing in the street like the sun is out for the first time, and they're just absorbing the rays. Okay?
Yeah, that's not weird at all. But
so
yeah, that's fine.
Weird.
Yeah,
and that was so weird until my first winter.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I see. This is just seasonal affective disorder. They've called it something. They've made it cozy.
Yeah.
Because it's really tough on you biochemically. Anyway, and so then the sun comes out for the very first time, sometime in, March or something, and every person stops on the street and looks at the sun like flowers, and they just stand there. And I did it, and I was like, oh, okay. It's not funny anymore. This is the only way to live. Anyway, and so some of that is, an old culture that, maybe mental health. I mean, they're definitely more advanced than other places, but it has been, slow going to get different generations to understand that depression's a thing and that there are ways to treat that and whatnot. But really, it's the winter Swede is what I call seasonal affective disorder. And it can be kind of cozy too. Anyway, okay, so how do we prevent it or how do we treat it? So you guys throw out your ideas. What do you think you're going to do to manage, and maybe you do it yourself?
I'll bet one of these is exercise. Always on the list, right? Always.
Okay,
so
why do you think exercise is on the list?
I think it's because your body's real good at doing the thing it does,
producing a energy or
yeah.
I don't actually know
to focus on. I don't know.
Is there an easy way to say what it does? Because I don't actually know how to say it. Like it just.
Hey, let me back up really quick. To diagnose this, I should tell you this. I forgot. Is you would get a physical exam by your healthcare provider to make sure there's not something else going on.
Right.
Okay.
You do want to
Don't
do that.
just jump into treating SAD.
Yeah. I should, have clarified. Also, there's lab work that just looks at your blood to see if it's like your thyroid or something else, because it mimics all these same symptoms if you have a thyroid dysfunction. So they want to rule out other things first, and then a psychological evaluation will basically tell you that you have it.
Sure.
Okay. So then we get into treatment. So let's talk about exercise. So if we think about why exercise, think of it from an evolutionary standpoint. What does it mean if you're moving in your sort of ancient hunter-gatherer sort of community? What does moving around mean and do?
Protects you. You know, you're not sitting in one place.
Mm-hmm. No one's going to come kill you.
Yeah, that's true. What else?
You're getting food. You're accessing the thing that will keep you alive. So in both instances, moving means getting to food sources, preparing food sources, eating and surviving, and then it also means running from threats or, you know, that type of thing, right?
Right.
Because think about just, the modern human sloth that we become sometimes.
Yeah.
How dangerous that would be out in the wild.
Yeah. It would be no good.
We're just all soft sitting there. It would not go well.
No.
Okay. So there is chemicals that are released. The body is functioning in certain ways for, exerting energy, requiring energy. It's doing all sorts of things that are aliveness, right? And I think that's a big piece of what it can counter when you are having the slowing down hibernation feeling, is that it forces your body to remember that it has to move and it's alive. Right. And you don't want to. You're having the exact opposite experience of like, no, I think I'll sit here.
I think I'll just stay right where I'm at.
Yeah. So you have to force it to some extent for you to have the benefit of it, obviously. For people, sometimes they can just keep doing their routine, or maybe they slow down a little bit, but it really does bring endorphins, trick their system into repairing muscle that gets, like it has jobs to do rather than, it's the constant pull between rest and conserve energy.
Right.
And you got to expend energy to survive. And if we only rest and conserve, then our brains really don't like it in the end. So that's one of the things. Okay, good. So exercise. What else?
Right.
I like the light idea, like having lots of light on you. I mean, it feels like it, especially if you can get the warm light as opposed to cool, like lots of yellows and oranges and that sort of thing.
So is that stuff like, okay, so again, here comes skeptical 80s. My dad used the light, and I always wondered if it was working kind of brain. But do the lights do stuff? They do stuff then. They work? I mean,
they do.
Okay.
They do.
All right.
It's one of the first treatments to try when you have fall onset seasonal affective disorder. And it'll generally start working in a few days, up to a few weeks. And obviously it doesn't have many side effects, right? But the research is limited. And that's why I say it works. And then I hesitate because it is effective for most people. Lots of people can kind of not feel that much of a difference, but maybe it's fine.
Yeah.
But then maybe it's more complex. And so it is one of those things like we don't have enough longitudinal, really good studies to know. I mean, we have some evidence for sure, but a lot of it is people. And I've worked with lots of people who've used it, and it's anecdotally 100% for everyone who's tried it. Now, could that be slight? Like wishful thinking and hoping and yay or whatever, maybe. But the reality is real sunlight absolutely does it.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know how if it's not going to harm you, it really is either effective or neutral.
Because some of those lights, they claim that they do a thing.
I know. And that's where you get into the hokum pokum of it, and who's going to make money off you, and so you need to do some research on ones a lot of people have tried and that are not out to rip you off, because there is some quality you need to make sure you're not getting like skin cancer from this, because it's just someone putting in a tanning bed light, right? But that it's also not just a regular LED light bulb that's doing nothing for you. Okay, so that is something to consider. The other is a natural form of this. And when you live in the great north, you don't really have this option. So travel really is your best shot if you can do it in the winter. So we had some friends in Sweden. She had, their daughter had, it's not rosacea, but some kind of skin disorder that got really bad. And it would get really bad in the winter. And so her prescription from her doctor was to go to Spain every winter. So every winter they go, and part of the payment, it came from the doctor, the clinic, that was covered by.
So that was a actual a prescription that they could cover with their national health care. That's crazy.
Yes.
Wow.
And I will tell you why, and it was astounding to watch. She would turn to like a snake shedding skin. Like she looked terrible. She was like 16, 17. It was awful. And then they'd go to Spain for a week and it would heal it, clean it up, whatever. She'd come back. She'd be pretty fine the rest of the winter. And then the next winter it would start over again. I mean, it was the only treatment. I mean, I guess you could try creams and stuff, but it was nothing like the sun. So
I want my doctor to go, oh, your leg hurts? Spain. Yeah. Here's a Spain.
Need a trip to Hawaii. Here you go.
Germany, they'll send you 3 weeks to like a relaxation place so you can relax or your shoulder stops hurting. So
I'm Ford clinic.
I'm sure. I'm sure my insurance will definitely cover that.
Yeah,
here in the States.
They're into it.
Yeah.
Tally, who's one of the scientists in our world, says that the optic nerve has direct neural inputs into the super chiasmatic nucleus. Almost called it the chiasmatic nucleus, the area that regulates circadian rhythm. So that's why the light does help us.
Oh,
it does, and it's the thing that's saying it's night or day. So artificial light, that's all you had to tell you if it was night and day.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And so that's just how we're built. We're built.
It's just basically you're fooling yourself into believing that daylight savings hasn't made it dark at 5 p.m. Gotcha.
Yes. And here's the key. So Scott, you probably remember this. Dad would be up early doing this.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you want to do light therapy, you don't start at noon. That does not help you. You've got to start. You train the circadian rhythms, like the good scientist said.
Yes.
So that is key. You can't just randomly have. And I have a friend here who just has it on while she works all day, and I'm like, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But real light, if you can do it, and this is so Scott, I sent you a little meme thingy.
Oh yeah, I want to show this
text. So share that. I love this. It's like mindful fitness. Said it. Whoever the heck that is, I don't even know. But I love this idea. If you choose not to find joy in snow, you will have less joy in your life, but still the same amount of snow.
That's true. That's true.
And that, to me, we could translate that into finding sunlight in the winter.
Right. It doesn't matter where you are, right? Like snow is a good, exact. Like metaphor, you know what it does it for me is if I see little kids when my kids are little or Van now, they see snow and they lose their minds. They're so stoked about it. They want to go play in it. They want to go make, snowballs and snowmen and all that. And I see it and I go, I gotta shovel that stuff.
They don't have to drive in it. They don't have to shovel it. It's right now. It's just a toy.
So you say I should go outside and freaking get wet. Let's go. Let's get some snow going.
And think about that for a moment from a kid's perspective. I can run and jump on hard ground and it doesn't hurt. That is a metaphysical miracle, right?
Listen, you get enough of it piled up, you can jump off the roof and land in it, and
swim in it, and then of course ride down it on boards, and you can have snowball fights and all those things. So we had a huge snowstorm the other day. It snowed from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. So a whole work day of just snow.
Lord, it's a lot.
And everyone reacts differently to it, right? And so some of it is finding and this is why the mindfulness thing pops up probably with this, is like how you perceive it. You can change how you perceive it. So for example, when you first think I got to go shovel, you have a story about snow that you are saying and believing and going to go make true, right?
Yeah.
Or could you take 10 minutes and go lay in it?
Yeah.
Like, when's the last time you did a snow angel?
Oh, it's been a long time, but I used to love doing them. It's great.
30 years, 40 years.
There is nothing like a snow angel.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
To remind you of all that is like the childhood thing, right? The thing that kids access very easily because they don't have to shovel or drive.
Right.
And so if you could just take a minute and do a kid thing first, throw a snowball at Kim, and that's just enough to just be present with it, right?
Yeah.
And then you got to still do all of those other things.
Yeah.
I highly recommend a really good snowblower and a really good podcast. You find ways to find some joy in it. But so here's the thing: if all of that just makes you miserable, and the stories about it are misery, then it is misery.
Yeah.
So you just have to be able to mess with those stories, and it's the way to get outside. So Minnesota is clearly very cold place in the winter, and there's always tons of snow. There is an endless supply of things to do here outside in the winter. Endless.
Yeah.
Every single park has 2 skating rinks, one for the pros and one for the not pros. And a warming house where you can get warm and change and get in your gear. Like that's every neighborhood everywhere, which is why a lot of hockey comes from here, people. But
not so much here.
Not so much there. And that's because that ice will stay all winter and it makes sense. But then there's also things like, we fly kites on frozen lakes in like 1,000 people meet and fly their kites. Like you have to find a way to do it. And usually your community will have ways. So maybe you guys remember this. They started a long time ago called the November crap. And they all work out together in like the worst.
Not the Polar Bear Club.
It's not the Polar Bear Club. November something. And they all get together and work out no matter what the weather is.
I don't know.
And they're like huge groups and they're running up stadium steps.
Crazy people.
Yeah,
So like almost like a CrossFit kind of culty thing, or just
kind of. And I think what it is like it gives you a couple things, right? Like you're braving the cold, you're doing the exercise thing, you're bonding with people. The polar bear plunge is another one.
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
There's also this really fun thing in Denmark every New Year's Day, like thousands of people all jump in this freezing. It's so
they do
crazy.
That here too, in Cherry Creek Reservoir and stuff.
Yeah. Here they have an open. You can keep ice open, obviously, on a lake if you just keep cutting it and maintaining it. And it's like a cold hot tub, and it's in downtown Minneapolis on one of the lakes, and people just go and have a cold hot tub swim with each other every day.
Wow.
And their mental health is way better than everyone else's, by the way.
Yeah.
So there is so much value to the accepting of the adverse conditions and still finding joy. It's not easy. We aren't actually built to do it. We're built to hunker down and protect ourselves from elements. But we have to use our front brain that says no one's going to die getting in this cold water unless you can, but you won't. And no one's going to die being with a big group hiking up this hill even though it's raining. Like you can push through some of those biological necessities to survive, and there is a mental benefit from that.
It's interesting because usually it feels like when we try to go counter to our evolutionary aims, right? Like survival stuff and all of that, we sometimes get in trouble. But this is one where we want to kind of resist those primordial.
Well, okay. So tell me real quick in modern life,
an
example of what you just said.
Oh gosh. It's funny you asked that because I was just, my brain was thinking.
It's like when you stand on the edge of something and your body almost tells you to jump off of it, that sort of thing.
That or to shrink back from it. Like it's still a good example. Like when I go to the Hoover Dam down in Vegas, I love that place. I think that's some of the most. I just love that whole area there.
Beautiful.
But when I get up on the dam, I need to crawl and hide because I get really heights issues up there, and whereas Carter has none of that. She's swinging over the edge and being way too crazy.
You and I probably have different experiences at Hoover Dam.
Yeah, I love the dam, but I can't stand the heights, and so the feelings I'm getting I assume are these like built-in like warnings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, but I don't need to be afraid where I am because I'm on stable ground. I'm in a place where I'm not going to wipe it. So I don't know why. I mean, those feelings are still going to be there, but my need to follow those feelings to the letter isn't there anymore, like it was when I was running away from saber-toothed tigers or falling out of trees or whatever the crap our ancestors did. Yeah. And so that's
actually a really great example. A great example of a anxiety doing its job or fear doing its job, which is like this. Our visual perception of depth here is telling us that death is imminent if we are not careful.
Yeah.
So it's heightening your body to do the thing it needs to do. So it's doing its job. Good job, body.
Yeah. Good job, body.
The problem is most of us, like doom scrolling is a great example. Let's bring fear and let's create the perception of we are in danger with there's no way to relieve that. I can't back away from the dam and then have my nervous system calm down.
Yeah.
I can just keep diving into terrible things, right? And depression is a response to that kind of constant Not all depression is caused by this. Let's put that caveat out there. But for some of us, depression is the body's response to powerlessness. It can't do anything about that. Too much fear. I've never met a person who hasn't had chronic anxiety their whole life and eventually experienced depression, because it just burns through their endocrine system in that sense. And suddenly, like it doesn't hold up to the constant fear.
Sure.
So it's about experiencing the cortisol, the stress, all the things that get released, and then having a break from them. The problem with modern life. So that's why I asked you to give me an example, because there is actually no example that isn't so there's the safety things of don't actually jump off the Hoover Dam.
Yeah.
But it's getting yourself into stressful situations and having yourself relax again is actually the most healthy thing for us. Most of our disease, heart disease, diabetes, other sort of long, chronic, killing us slowly from the inside kinds of things come from too much comfort, which we are really driven to have.
Yeah, we like comfort.
Not enough exposure to, action, death, and, threats, and then the relief of those things. Instead, we have a chronic drip of cortisol. Get up and work and do the same things, that type of thing.
Right.
I wanted to do this on a different show, but this fits really well. I don't know if you guys have watched, is it Limitless? With
no, not the new Chris Hemsworth thing.
Yeah.
I hear he's shirtless in it, and I certainly don't need to see any more of that.
That's the only reason I'm watching it.
Yeah,
It's so good.
just making us all feel inadedequate. It's fine.
No,
Right, exactly, yeah.
I love it. I love it, first of all, because the science is good and he is funny. And he takes his buddies and his brothers on all these different things he's doing, and they just relentlessly tease him the whole time.
Does he take the lumpy brother from Westworld, the one that no one knows about?
I don't know. Maybe. But my favorite is his two buddies. He's doing one on what fasting does to the body, and they're supposed to fast with him, and they like sneak off and eat pizza, and they just rip on him. Anyway, it's very. I think they've done a good job of like taking Thor, making him seem weak and human.
Yeah.
And he still has a good body, but
you still can't humanize that guy for me.
But just funny, and like the way he is with his kids, and like it's really funny. Anyway, but watching it, the science in it's really good, and why I would recommend people doing it, and it'd be fun to talk about sometime, is it's this very thing of pushing ourselves to be uncomfortable to give us actual health and longevity.
Yeah.
He's, and maybe you saw the news where in the last episode he realized he has the genes for Alzheimer's.
Oh, I didn't realize it was in that episode. I thought it was just, I saw the news, but I thought it was just some other side thing.
No. It's in doing this project, he realizes, and the whole thing is, I think he's 40 now, and I think he's just like aging is hard, and he wants to live, and his kids are young, and they seem like wild banshees. They're so cute. Whoa. It's very funny. But anyway, I would recommend it if you're interested in this, like getting out of your comfort zone as an important way to be healthy. And SAD really is an example of the only way to treat it. Now you can medicate it like people do, and you can, try the light therapy, and you can do all these different things, but time outside, exercise, and light are the most effective natural forms of doing this. And then secondarily are some of these other things. So if you could combine a few of those things, it really helps. So when I said earlier, like I don't struggle with it, I should take a picture of my office. It's like a 3-season room that I have to heat. So I'm freezing all the time, but I'm surrounded by windows. So all day I have natural light, and deer run by, and this herd of freaky turkeys. And
a herd of freaky turkeys.
There's like 11. They're so freaky. And they're always the day after Thanksgiving, walk around so coffee.
They're like, well, we made it another year, boys.
And they will not get out of the road when you need to drive. Anyway, and then trees. So I am in a very natural setting all day long. And I think it's absolute key for me. And then I spend a lot of time outside. I like the snow. I have lots of fun in it. And that's not hard for me. But I have the predisposition for sure. And I also have the vitamin D problem. So maybe it's not the answer to everyone, but I feel like it really has been, and it's something I couldn't do in Sweden. And I felt like I had SAD in Sweden. Absolutely.
Really?
I'd have to go to Egypt to get sun, and I just didn't do that and couldn't do that. And so it was just
How often did you feel that way? Just in a certain time of that year, or was it kind of all the time?
So it's basically winter whole time. But what it was is I could sleep till 10 a.m. I've never slept till 10 a.m. since I was a teenager.
How late would it stay dark? Because I'm guessing that during the peak of winter, it's like 4 hours of daylight or something.
Yeah.
It's like seeing the sun just doing like a little blip over the horizon.
Yeah.
And it would be at high noon, and then it would go down.
Wow.
So it was hard. And we were, we're in the bottom third of Sweden. There are people up north who it's just dark 24/7.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the summer, it's sunny 24/7. That's a magical brain that can handle that. But that's also, people can move there and figure it out. But I feel like you have to come from generations of people to do that.
Yeah.
So anyway, so it was very clear to me. And so while we were there, it was my 40th birthday with a bunch of friends, and we all met in Mexico.
Oh yeah, I remember
in
that.
The middle of winter. And I got off that plane. I had to fly 24 hours, people, but I did not care. And I got off that plane, and it felt like a reach, like I could feel it refilling. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't have much of the mood stuff. It was mainly fatigue, and I just felt like a bear. Like, good night. Don't no one touch me, and let me have more carbs. That's what it was. So it's tricky. So it depends on where you live. And there are people who have plenty of sunshine and still have this experience, or they'll have it in the summer. So it isn't all just like, be out the sun and you'll be fine. So I would recommend a good evaluation to determine this. Get your blood work done. Make sure there isn't something else going on.
Sure.
And then, there's a couple of things I forgot. And I was trying to be different this time and tell you that psychotherapy is an option too.
Oh, yeah. Always. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's not forget that at the end of the thing. Oh, and the other thing was, I thought it was you that told me to watch this Stutz thing that Nicole recommended yesterday. It's not Wendi. Somebody else told me this. I want you to see it now and then tell us what you think.
Okay.
The person I'd heard from is also in therapy, and they said it was an amazing thing. And what they described to me sounds like how you work.
Oh, okay.
So
STUTS?
Z.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, Z.
And it's Jonah Hill made this movie about his therapist, who he claims just like completely turned his life around and wanted to share how this guy works. And apparently this stuff's like right up the Wendi alley. So
okay, what if we do that for next week? I'll watch it, and then other people can watch it if they want.
Oh yeah, that's great. Well, I want to watch it anyway, so let's do it.
Okay.
Love it. That's a great.
I just want to be finished with Dahmer. My God.
Oh, Dahmer! I watched that the first week it came out, and
just walk away.
It is. It's rough. It's a rough.
It's rough, and there's, we're now on. We just finished. Episode 8, I think, last night, or 7 maybe.
Yeah.
And really, you can skip episodes 3, 4, and 5. I mean, it feels like Ryan. What is it? Brad Falchuk and Ryan. Whatever.
The American
Horror Story guy.
Yeah, Glee. I can't think of his name.
It's like he said, "How can I stretch this story out to 10 episodes?"
Yeah, it could have been a movie, to be honest. I think it could have pulled that off.
Exactly.
What's his name's very good.
Evan Peters is great.
He's
and
very,
Niecy
very
Nash
good.
is great, and dude who plays his dad, character actor that we see in everything.
He won for that Lady in the Water.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Hey guys, I'm gonna raise my hand here and say I gotta go.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I guess it's.
I love it. I love that we did that to you. All right, have a fantastic week, Wendi.
No
we'll be
worries.
back with more. Enjoy your turkey bones, whatever's left. We'll see you later.
Bye.
That's amazing. Yeah, what's his name? Richard.
Yeah.
Klein. No. No.
Gonna try and do this without looking at the chat room. Richard
something.
Bells.
First time I ever saw, not cheese. First time I ever saw him was in Silverado. I was very young.
Okay. I think of him as the dad in 6 Feet Under too.
Yep, he's in that. He's in a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
and we always like him. And he does Guillermo del Toro movies all the time.
Yeah.
He was in the American version of Let the Right One In. I can't think of Richard.
I'm gonna sit here.
Prime Klein.
Richard.
I can look it up.
Yeah. Jenkins.
Gosh dang it.
Thank you, Free Rangers. Yes, Richard Jenkins.
He just sounds like somebody's neighbor. It's such a hard name to remember, but
Jenkins.
Bring
those
get in here.
Reports.
That's right. Give me the Penske file. All right.
All right.
That is
Holy cow, 11 o'clock already. Sorry, folks.
This is a long show today, but don't worry. We're done. We're going to get out of here, and I want to remind folks that it's a brand new month. Today is literally the 1st, and for as little as $1 a month, you can become a patron at patreon.com/TMS, and you will gain benefits such as couch parties on the weekend, art in the mail, pre-show content every day, no commercials ever, much, much more. Check it out, patreon.com/TMS, and big thanks to everybody who already supports us there. You keep the lights on. Thank you all very much. That's going to do it. There is a couch party tomorrow, 3 p.m. 3
p.m. More Ms. Marvel.
We're going to keep tearing through that. Maybe a couple of them we can squeeze in. And Film Sack this weekend, Core tonight at 5, Coverville today at 1. I'm just all over the place on the times.
But you're doing a great job remembering it, because I don't think we've got it listed here, do we? No.
No, we don't even have it listed, but yeah.
Probably Guess the Connection tomorrow. I'm going to give away a Teenage Mutant Ninjas Turtles figure or something. What is it? I'll show people what I'm giving away.
Let's see what you got.
Street Fighter 2. You're going to win Zangief, Ball Chief.
Ball Chief. I like Ball Chief.
Ball Chief. You're going to win Ball Chief.
How come he looks so spindly in his figure, but
because it's, it's a Capcom Super 7 action figure.
It's not great. I've seen better, but that's still fun to get.
Yeah.
Maybe even better to get it that way. Anyway, so there's that. Win a Ball Chief.
Yeah. Oh, win a Ball Chief.
Ball Chief. Balrog is who you were thinking of, and you mix it up with Zangief. So Ball Chief. That'll do it for all of that then. So just lots of content is the point. Make sure you check all that stuff out. I've also updated the frogpants.com/contact listing of all the social places that we post things now. And if you're interested, and if you're like, I'm on Mastodon or I'm on freaking whatever, it's all up there. So go find it.
So much better at that than I am.
Well, I feel like I got to be wherever this all lands. Who knows where it lands? I don't know. Freaking the whole thing gives me gas. All right, we're out of here. Let's play music. You have music?
I do. Rob Belander wrote in and said, "Hi, guys. My wife, Teresa, is a huge fan of TMS and Film Sack, and she's turning 50 this weekend. Woo. Could you play her a cover of Billy Joel for her birthday? I realize it can't be on the day, but maybe during the week of December 5th. She loves Scenes from an Italian Restaurant and Vienna. Or anything from the album The Stranger. I think I'm supposed to say love the show, though, but honestly, I do love the show. You two do great work. Please keep doing it. Best, Rob."
Oh,
Happy birthday to you.
50, big one. Nice job. Congratulations.
You said it, kid.
Yeah.
All right, so happy 50th, Teresa, and we love having you and your husband listen to the show. So appreciate it.
Yep.
Let's get to a cover of Vienna. You just can't do a cover of Vienna and not open it with that fantastic piano riff. This one changes it a little bit from the Billy Joel version, but sometimes you just need something that honors the original, just with a different vocalist. This is Tony Lucca and a cover of Vienna from his album Rendezvous with the Angels. Here is Vienna.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network.
Frog Pants Network.
Get more shows like this at frogpants.com.
Everyone has to be able to look at everyone's head holes.
Oh.